What's up guys, Jake here. Normally on my channel I talk about finance and investing topics, but in today's video I'm going to give myself a hall pass because I really want to talk about one of the biggest news stories from the last 2 weeks. And that would be a 60 minutes segment that ran about Navy pilots and their encounters with UFOs. If you've not seen this news segment, I highly encourage you go watch it. It's gotten 7.6 million views on their channel in 2 weeks. In the event you're watching from outside the United States, you might need to use a VPN to change your IP address to be in the United States. Unfortunately, 60 Minutes, I think, blocks this segment for international viewers. For those of you who don't know my background, I'm currently serving on active duty. I'm a captain in the Air Force stationed at Minot Air Force Base. And I just got to say it, but officially I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of UAPs, UFOs, extraterrestrial life. But unofficially, guys, I don't know anything. I'm a missileer. I'm a nuclear and missile operations officer, so I actually spend a lot of time underground, and I don't really have a good line of sight for those UFOs or dem aliens. But what I can talk about is these 3 UAP videos that have been declassified and confirmed by the Department of Defense. The first one being filmed off the coast of Florida, this one being filmed off the coast of Virginia, and this one being the famous Tic Tac encounter off the coast of San Diego. And what have we observed? Obviously there are hundreds, thousands of UAP sightings by service members, but we're only going to talk about these 3 and what we've observed, what we know. And they can travel, these UAPs, can travel at very high altitudes, up to 80,000 feet in the air. They can exceed 600 G-forces and travel at speeds of 13,000 miles per hour. These UAPs have no markings, no wings, no cockpits, no propulsion system, no exhaust plumes. This is the really weird part. They don't create noise. They travel faster than the speed of sound, but when they go supersonic, there's no sonic boom. They've been observed flying over bases and obviously close to military aircraft, but they don't make sonic booms when they speed off. They're capable of rotation, maneuvering, and evasion, showing that they're aware of us. It's not just us perceiving them, they're responding to us. And these crafts just seem completely unaffected by Earth's gravitational force. And they frequently enter our airspace at will, and Navy pilots, Air Force pilots say that they encounter these things all the time. How do we know this? And we know this because we can track them and sense them on radar. Now, obviously, you need to be a skeptic and say, well, is the equipment malfunctioning? Potentially, there was a sensor error and the radar is not accurate. They've also been seen on infrared targeting of these F-18s. This is the forward-looking infrared footage on the guns. Once again, we have to always entertain the possibility that this is faulty data and an error in the footage. But pilots also take digital cameras up into the cockpits with them. And when they get eyesight on these UAPs, they just use their digital camera and start taking photos of them. But it really is the eyewitness accounts in this 60 Minutes interview that, in my opinion, is the most compelling evidence. And in the 60 Minutes segment, you'll hear from Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich. They took the video. Well, no, they got eyewitness accounts of the Tic Tac off the coast of San Diego. The 60 Minutes interview also met with Lieutenant Ryan Graves, who took the video from the UAP off Virginia Beach. And you'll notice in this picture of Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich, she's got this digital camera up in the cockpit with her, and they just start taking photos. What the heck is that? What the heck is that? That could be a cloud, or it could not be a cloud. I'm not sure. And let's talk about the facts regarding the Tic Tac incident, because this was 4 naval officers, the 2 pilots and then their weapons systems officers, that had eyes on this thing, they said, for over 5 minutes. So the USS Nimitz was tracking this. I think it was the USS Princeton. And the jets scrambled out to go investigate what they had caught on radar that traveled from 80,000 feet down to 50 feet above sea level within seconds. And the F-18s were just circling around it as it was hovering above sea level. And the pilots say that it was tic-tac shaped. You could think of it maybe as the size of a giant propane tank, maybe as big as a school bus potentially. And it was just kind of bouncing around on the water. And after a couple minutes, Commander Fravor decided to take his F-18 down to descend to go get a closer look. And the Tic Tac then responded. It started spiraling up to basically intercept the F-18. Pretty crazy. And right when Commander Fravor was about to basically be right in front of this thing, it just vanished. It blipped out of existence. Both F-18s didn't see where it went or how it basically left the area. But then seconds later, the USS Princeton reacquired the Tic Tac 60 miles away. And at this point, additional F-18s were scrambled into the air, and they were able to get this footage from the forward-looking guns of the Tic Tac before it sped off and they lost complete contact with it. So all of the officers that encountered this Tic Tac came back to the USS Nimitz and they filed reports. They gave statements of what they encountered, what they saw, and they just forwarded up the chain of command. Now, I'm sure leadership took them seriously, but they said in the interview within 30 minutes, everybody on the ship was aware of what they had reported, what they had said, and they were met with ridicule. People on the ship started playing the movie Signs and Men in Black or Independence Day. There's this perception when you speak about UFOs that it's silly, it's imaginary, you're seeing things. I definitely can understand why a military officer who is career focused would not want this attention. If you can't prove what you saw, what is the benefit of bringing it up if there was no harm, no foul in the whole incident? And for a very long time, this has just been the official policy of the DoD. They what do you want us to do about them? If people are seeing things and they can't verify them, they can't prove them, less is more. We're not going to say anything because there's nothing to confirm. There's nothing to say. And the history of the DoD with UFOs, UAPs, whatever they call them now, the only thing that we really know is about Project Blue Book. And this was started in the 50s to investigate all of these numerous UFO sightings. And this was closed in 1969. And I think actually Project Blue Book did a really good job of addressing and eliminating lots and lots of erroneous claims of UFOs. I think in our nation's history we have had next generation planes in testing, and they've been flying over the continent, and people have been reporting those as UFOs. Likely, weather balloons, unusual experimental aircraft, natural events. I think 99.9% of UFO sightings can be rationally explained, but there's still this very small percent that can't. And something that Neil deGrasse Tyson argued that is very convincing is, why don't people get abducted by aliens anymore? In the 50s, 60s, 70s, tens of thousands of people came forward to say that a flying saucer in the sky picked them up and drew them towards the light. Well, it's the year 2021 now, and everybody has a HD camera in their pocket where they can live stream their own abduction. Nobody is live streaming their abduction, meaning nobody's being abducted. And it's more than likely that every claim of an alien abduction in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was the person just making it up. Same thing with crop circles. Now that we have satellite imagery and lots of CCTV cameras everywhere, the crop circles have stopped. These were really popular in the 90s, but they weren't aliens. They were people playing jokes on the media and the world at large, just looking for attention. And if I can share one of my own experiences, while I was stationed at Vandenberg Air Force Base in 2017, I would attend all of the SpaceX launches from the base. SpaceX operates out of Vandenberg. And I attended this launch in 2017 that was sending a satellite into polar orbit, and the booster was flying south over Los Angeles from the coastline. And here's a picture taken from somebody in Los Angeles, and this looks pretty frickin' weird. And I attended the launch. I took a video on my phone of the launch, and not even 20 minutes later, the internet was blowing up with everybody in LA saying they had seen an alien, they had encountered a UFO, and that the military saying, well, it was a SpaceX launch. They were saying, no, the government's trying to cover it up. I was at this launch. I took a video of the launch. What you're seeing here is the fact that the sun has already set by perception of the people on the continent. So if you're standing on the ground, the sun is already down. However, this rocket, being 40,000 feet in the air or whatever, it still can see the sun. The sun is still shining on the jet plume. And the sky is dark because there's no longer sun shining on the Earth to reflect it to light up the sky. So it's just a very peculiar time of day for this launch, which caused this ethereal effect. But no, not aliens. And the reason why the story of these Navy pilots is getting traction is because some congressman last year in the COVID-19 relief bill stuck in a provision saying that a committee had to investigate these UAPs and deliver an unclassified report to Congress within 180 days in 2021. So whatever senator or congressman snuck this into this 1,000+ page bill, bravo, I applaud you. Because now the DoD has to do it. They have to produce an unclassified report available to the public outlining what they know about UAPs. And if you're interested in me making another video about this report, give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below so I know you guys like these kinds of videos. So what potentially could we get from this unclassified DoD report coming out next month? We could get more and better pictures of UAPs. We could get more and better videos. We could get more incidents officially declassified so that the military service personnel involved in them could come forward and tell their stories. I think that would be personally very interesting. And what's the goal of all this? What's the goal of the committee and the reports? And it's to create a process within the DoD to take UAPs seriously. Now, I'm not saying that the DoD doesn't take them seriously. I'm just saying that there should be a process to publicly take them seriously where service members can come forward and just give their account of what happened and not feel intimidated or concerned about maybe their reputation or how their peers might perceive them. Two, every video, every photo, every eyewitness account is useful data to scientists and engineers. If we can glean any kind of information from these encounters, potentially that is useful information that we can use to our advantage. And third is we should have a process to clear up explained events, like the 2017 SpaceX launch that I was part of. If people come forward and officially report, UAPs, UFOs, and they can be resolved rationally, then for the rest of their lives, they're not anecdotally saying, hey, once upon a time, this crazy thing happened. If you report it, it can be dispelled if it is easily explainable. Now, up until this point in the video, I was trying to remain objective and factual about what we know to this point. However, Going forward, let's go ahead and put on our tinfoil hats and speculate. This is the fun part. Now, I will say for the record, I am not a scientist. I have a bachelor's of science in geology, and I'm a big science fan and buff, and I like learning as much as possible. But I'm not trying to get any scientific papers published. So I have the liberty to speculate and have some fun here. So potentially, what could these UAPs be? Let's go through the list. And first thing that we've been told is that it's not us. In the 60-minute interview, Christopher Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence under Clinton and Bush, has said he had access to our nation's secret military programs, and he's confident these UAPs are not our tech, it's not us. So the first obvious possibility is that this is technology belonging to a foreign adversary, and they're using it to enter our airspace and spy on us. Now, how likely is this? I find it rather unlikely because the capability of these aircraft, their technology is 100 to 10,000 years in front of us. The fact that another nation could have developed this kind of aircraft or technology without our intelligence operations being able to intercept it or be aware of it, it's just unlikely this is another country. The second option is that it's a natural phenomenon. It's kind of hubris to believe that we already know everything there is to know about our planet. This could be naturally occurring events or some kind of native species to our planet that, for good reason, chooses to avoid us. So you can never really rule out until you know what it is. You can't rule out the possibility that this is some kind of natural phenomenon on our planet that has always been there. When it comes to the known world and what science can explain, so far we're confident there are 12 particles of matter and 4 forces of nature. However, science has not finished. 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, science is only going to keep learning, keep growing. When you think about the observable universe, the periodic table of elements, we got this down. That only makes up 5% of the universe. The other 95% is dark energy and dark matter. We can prove that it exists, but we can't perceive it. So what forces of nature, what particles of matter, what events can possibly happen given that 95% of our universe is not the stuff that we understand or think about? There's a lot of potential of what could be. Option 3 is a fun one, and these UAPs are just glitches in the matrix. Elon Musk says there's a 50-50 chance we're all living in a computer simulation. How this theory goes is that if we as a civilization, tens of thousands of years in the future, advance so far to the point that we can figure out infinite energy and infinite computing power, why wouldn't we run simulations with different inputs? And everybody living in those computer simulations, that would be the real world to them. So if we as a civilization far in the future created thousands of fake worlds to analyze data, run simulations, have for entertainment, whatever, then what are the chances that we're the simulation created by somebody else? It's very high if that's the parameters that you accept. Now don't lose sleep over this. This is just a fun idea. But potentially these UAPs are glitches in the matrix, or our program designers just messing with us. Option 4 is that it's us, humans, but from the future. Let's say that we are the lone intelligent life in the universe. It's completely empty except for us. What happens in the future when our technology gets so good that potentially we could travel back in time? If you've ever seen the sci-fi movie Interstellar, basically Earth is dying and humans from the future basically go back in time to, spoilers here, go back in time to help Earthlings in today's timeline. I'm actually a believer in the 12 Monkeys sci-fi idea of the timeline, in that you can go back in time, but you can't change anything. Everything that has ever happened or will happen has already been established in the timeline. So these UAPs could be us, traveling back in time to just collect data, observe, watch, entertainment, whatever. And they're not trying to interact with us because, one, it wouldn't change the future, it wouldn't do anything. And two, they probably shouldn't. So if you think about where humanity will be in 10,000, 50,000 years, the United States is long gone. China's gone, Russia's gone. All modern nation state, all modern problems are irrelevant. You know, humans in the future visiting us today would be like them visiting ancient Samaria. You know, they don't have any allegiance to this country or even the language. But yeah, they could be going back in time just to watch us or collect information. Option 5 is probably the one that gets most people excited, and that these are alien visitors from other star systems. And unfortunately, I think this is actually the least probable. Given how long humanity has been broadcasting radio waves into space, less than 100 years, if those radio waves are traveling at the speed of light, then the only people that could know that we're here are about 80 light years away. There are star systems, I think, that close, but what are the chances that an intelligent, advanced civilization capable of interstellar travel would pick them up, know we're here, and then come visit us? If advanced civilizations in the galaxy have the ability through telescopes to observe our planet, they can only see what the speed of light can deliver them as far as information. So if they're 60 million light years away and they're looking at us through a telescope, they're just seeing dinosaurs. Additionally, space in general is just very inhospitable to organic life. If organic life developed on other star systems, the fact that those organic lives would get in a ship and come visit us is just very unlikely. Space is really good at killing us. So more than likely, they would be sending probes, they would be sending unmanned aircraft. But even then, I don't think anybody knows that we're here because we've just not been broadcasting our intelligence long enough for somebody else to find us. Option 6 is where we're going to go heavy on the science fiction, and I'm actually going to argue that these UAPs are multidimensional visitors or parallel universe visitors. And the theory goes is that our brains can only perceive the universe in 3 dimensions: height, width, and length. However, there might be a 4th dimension or a 5th dimension where other life forms exist and they can perceive us, but we can't perceive them. This is kind of scary to think about. And how this is explained commonly is with the allegory from the story Flatland by Edwin Abbott. Basically, let's say that there was a plane of existence that was only 2 dimensions, and we could easily see it, and we decided to visit it. How would people in the 2nd dimension view us as 3-dimensional creatures? So here is the plane, the 2-dimensional world, and we exist in 3 dimensions. We're a sphere. However, if we were to punch into their dimension to visit them, the only thing that they could see is a circle. It would be their 2-dimensional perception of our 3-dimensional existence. This is science fiction, but potentially there is a 4th or 5th or higher dimension, and these visitors, when you look at these things in the sky, they're something from a higher dimension punching through our dimension. So they're projecting in order to visit us and perceive us, observe us, interact with us. That's interesting. So when we think about intelligent civilizations in the universe, there's something called the Drake equation. How does it work? Well, you take all of these probabilities, probability of star formation, what stars have planets, what planets could support life, what planets actually develop life. So there's all these factors to go in to estimate, and they're all very conservative numbers. How many advanced intelligent civilizations are there just in the Milky Way galaxy? And according to the Drake equation, there's over 10,000. There's over 10,000 advanced intelligent civilizations just in the Milky Way galaxy. However, once again, this is pure science fiction, but if there are intelligent advanced civilizations existing in higher dimensions, how many of them are there if we were to have a Drake equation for parallel universe or multi-dimensional advanced civilizations, there would be a lot. So when we look at these UAPs blipping into our reality, they all look different. And they all look different because they could be different technology from different higher dimension civilizations. And they're all choosing to blip in to observe and record and visit us. Now that's really out there thinking, and once again, no credible scientist would propose this because there's no basis in fact. But I'm a big science fiction fan, I love Star Trek, and people want to know, why aren't these aliens or higher dimension beings contacting us? Why aren't they interacting with us? And in Star Trek, they have something called the Prime Directive, where you don't interact with or interrupt the natural development of a lower species or lower civilization. So if they are capable of coming into our dimension or traveling to our planet, they have faster than light speed or whatever, then we look primitive to them. And they're scientists, they're explorers, they've solved the problems of finite resources, finite energy, and they're explorers. And yes, they want to observe us, but there's nothing to benefit from interacting with us, to making contact with us. In fact, probably, according to Star Trek, it's harmful. It's harmful for them to make themselves known because it would interrupt our natural development. It would be dangerous. So that's what I got, guys. I've got 7 possibilities for what these UAPs could be, but honestly, the most likely one is 8 something else, something that we are not considering, something that we do not know. And yeah, I mean, eventually, if it takes hundreds or thousands of years, we will figure this out and we will have definitive proof of what these UAPs are. And I hope I'm still alive when we do get that confirmation. I think it's fun and exciting, and hopefully science and technology, our own, can keep progressing to the point where we might be visiting other people someday. Okay guys, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up so the algorithm knows it's good. Also consider subscribing if you haven't. Normally I talk about finance and investing topics, but I'm more than willing to go off the deep end on hot topics like UAPs. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, take care.